Two of history's most brutal dictators. Both wielded absolute power. Both were responsible for the deaths of millions, but both lived in constant terror of betrayal. Hitler saw traitors in his generals. Stalin saw enemies in every party member. This is the story of two men who conquered nations, but could never conquer their own paranoia. Both men were clinically paranoid. Hitler's paranoia was focused and explosive. Stalin's was systematic and cold. Understanding their fears reveals how dictatorships really work, through terror that flows both ways. Stalin's paranoia centered on the Communist Party itself, the very organization he controlled. Why? Because Stalin hadn't founded Bolshevism. Lenin had. Stalin was a latecomer who clawed his way to the top. He knew that dozens of old Bolsheviks remembered when he was just a mid-level bureaucrat. They'd worked alongside Lenin. They knew Stalin wasn't the heir apparent. Trotsky was. Every party veteran was a living reminder that Stalin's power was stolen, not earned. Stalin's paranoia exploded into the Great Terror, the most systematic purge in history. Here are the numbers. Of the 1,966 delegates, 1,108 were arrested, and most faced fatal consequences. Of the 139 Central Committee members elected in 1934, 98 were eliminated. Every single member of Lenin's original Politburo except Stalin either perished or died under suspicious circumstances. But Stalin didn't just target leaders. He decimated the entire party. Actions in 1937 to 1938 resulted in the deaths of approximately 681,692 people. Over 1.5 million arrested during the terror. Entire party organizations in regions completely liquidated. Stalin's paranoia was bureaucratic and meticulous. He kept lists. He personally reviewed elimination orders, sometimes approving thousands of death warrants in a single day. He'd set quotas. Arrest 10,000 in Ukraine this month. His secret police chief, Nikolai Yezhov, would dutifully fill the quota. Guilty or innocent didn't matter. Stalin trusted no one for long. Three successive secret police chiefs, Yagoda, Yezhov, Beria, each purged the previous chief's appointees, then faced Stalin's suspicion themselves. Yezhov eventually met the same fate. Even Beria, who survived Stalin, knew his turn would come. Anyone who remembered Lenin personally had to be eliminated. Zinoviev and Kamenev, former allies, were removed in 1936 after show trials. In 1937, Stalin wiped out almost the entire Red Army leadership, marshals, generals, and hundreds of officers. This gutted the Red Army right before the World War II. Anyone with independent thought was dangerous. Poet Osip Mandelstam perished in a camp for writing a poem mocking Stalin. Stalin deported entire peoples, Chechens, Crimean Tatars, Volga Germans, convinced they'd betray the Soviet Union. Stalin kept detailed files on everyone around him. He bugged his own associates' homes and offices. He'd invite subordinates to late-night dinners that lasted until 4 a.m., watching who got drunk and what they said. He rotated his bodyguards constantly, trusting none. He slept in different rooms each night. Near the end of his life, Stalin's paranoia reached new heights. In 1953, he began the Doctors Plot, claiming Jewish doctors were poisoning Soviet leaders. Another massive purge was planned. Only Stalin's death in March 1953 stopped it. Hitler's paranoia focused on the Wehrmacht, Germany's military elite. These were Prussian aristocrats, professional soldiers from old families, men who'd served the Kaiser. Hitler was an Austrian corporal who'd never attended military academy. The generals looked down on him as an upstart, and Hitler knew it. His paranoia had a specific trigger. July 20th, 1944. A group of Wehrmacht officers tried to eliminate him with a briefcase bomb at his Wolf's Lair headquarters. The bomb went off, but Hitler survived. After that, his paranoia went into overdrive. Even before the attempt on his life, Hitler distrusted the generals. He blamed them for defeats, never his own strategic blunders. He saw the aristocratic officer corps as secretly loyal to the old Germany, not Nazi Germany. After early victories in 1939 to 1941, Hitler believed he was a military genius, and the generals were holding him back. But Hitler still needed the generals. They had expertise he lacked, so his early paranoia was contained. He'd overrule them, humiliate them, but rarely take extreme action. Colonel Klaus von Stauffenberg planted a bomb in Hitler's conference room. It exploded, causing 4 deaths. Hitler survived because someone had moved the briefcase behind a table leg that shielded him. Hitler's response was savage. 7,000 people arrested, nearly 5,000 faced fatal consequences, including field marshals, generals, and admirals. Suspects were subjected to brutal treatment with piano wire from meat hooks. Hitler watched films of these events. Field Marshal Erwin Rommel, Germany's most famous general, was forced to take his own life. After July 1944, Hitler's military paranoia became pathological. He took direct command of military operations down to battalion level. He forbade retreats even when they were militarily necessary, leading to hundreds of thousands of troops being encircled and captured. He replaced professional generals with fanatical Nazis who had no military training. He screamed at generals in meetings, accusing them of cowardice and treason. He created the Volkssturm, elderly men and boys with rifles, because he trusted Nazi fanatics more than professional soldiers. Hitler's paranoia was hot and explosive. He'd rage, scream, threaten. He made impulsive decisions based on suspicion. He dismissed generals on the spot during hysterical rants. Stalin's paranoia was cold and calculated. He'd smile at you during dinner, then approve your removal the next morning. He planned purges like military campaigns with quotas and timelines. Stalin's paranoia was wider, but more systematic. He purged the entire party, the military, intellectuals, ethnic groups, anyone. Hitler focused primarily on the military elite and political opponents, but didn't purge the Nazi Party itself on the same scale. Stalin purged before the war, 1936 to 1938, which weakened the Soviet Union when Germany invaded. Hitler's worst paranoia came during the war, 1944 to 1945, contributing to Germany's collapse. Stalin feared people who knew him as an equal, old Bolsheviks who remembered when he wasn't supreme leader. Hitler feared people he saw as social superiors, aristocratic generals from families older than his. Stalin used show trials and forced confessions. Victims confessed to absurd conspiracies after interrogation. It was theatrical paranoia. Hitler used military tribunals and quick proceedings. It was explosive paranoia. He had Trotsky eliminated in Mexico in 1940, sending an agent with an ice axe, paranoid even about exiles on another continent. He once darkly joked that he'd had more Bolsheviks eliminated than the Tsar ever had. Stalin kept photos of people he'd had removed in his desk drawer and would occasionally look through them. Lavrenti Beria said Stalin would mark people as enemies just for looking at him wrong at meetings. After July 1944, Hitler made the Nazi salute mandatory in the Wehrmacht instead of the traditional military salute, forcing generals to signal loyalty every time they greeted each other. He had 200 people related to the conspirators arrested under Sippenhaft, blood guilt, punishing entire families. In his final weeks in the bunker, Hitler ordered the removal of his own brother-in-law, Hermann Fegelein, for trying to escape Berlin. Hitler's last act before taking his own life was ordering his dog Blondie poisoned with cyanide. He trusted literally no one and nothing. Stalin saw traitors in every party member who'd known Lenin. Hitler saw cowards in every general from the old Prussian families. They eliminated their allies, their supporters, their most competent administrators and commanders. They feared their own shadows so much that they burned down everything around them to make sure those shadows couldn't strike. And millions of victims because dictators can never stop looking over their shoulders, even when there's no one left to fear. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the next video.